Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Alcandros International Trading Podcast. This is your host, Constantine Kyle Alcandros, owner and director of Alcandros International Trading. We're going to cover an article from 2 days ago on Bitcoin.com. Oil giants joining Brics, a strategic success for China and Russia, experts say. This is part of a few articles I will cover over the course of the next few days, few weeks about Brics. So let's get into it. A German expert says that Brics economic bloc adding several oil giants as new members is a strategic success for China and Russia. The Brics leaders announced at their annual summit last week that they have invited Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Iran, Argentina, Egypt, and Ethiopia to join as new members. Brics adding 6 new members. Professor Dr. Daniela Schwarzer, an executive board member at Bertelsmann Stiftung, an independent foundation based in Germany, said in an interview with Austria's Der Standard newspaper that the Brics economic bloc adding some of the world's largest oil producers marks a strategic success for Russia and China. Schwarzer is regularly consulted as an expert and policy advisor. She is currently a member of the working group convened by the French and German governments on reforming the EU. Bertelsmann Stiftung described she also advised France and Poland during their respective EU presidencies and was a consultant to the French Prime Minister's Centre d'Analyse Stratégique. Schwarzer was quoted by Russian news outlet TASS as saying Friday, quote, "Expansion of the Brics group is a strategic success for China and Russia before being joined by 3 of the world's largest oil and gas exporters, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. Western leaders must understand this enlargement as an attempt to establish a serious counterweight to the G7, whose share of the global GDP is steadily declining," she emphasized, which is very true. The Brics nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa wrapped up their 15th annual summit last week. At the conclusion of the summit, the Brics leaders announced that they have invited 6 countries to join the economic bloc: Argentina, Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE. According to Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Ryabkov, all 6 countries have said yes to membership, which will commence on January 1st, 2024. So this is huge news. So I think we can sort of surmise that as of January 1st, 2024, the Western world will be in a decline, perhaps you could possibly, or at least things will further turn or further become more difficult, or things will further become more difficult in the West. After the BRICS summit, Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko told reporters that while he believes Western hegemony has not ended yet, the expansion of the economic bloc is a strong step in this direction, and a very strong step towards a multipolar world. According to South Africa, which hosted the BRICS summit this year, Belarus is among the 23 countries that formally applied to join the BRICS group. In their declaration released Thursday, the BRICS leaders stressed the importance of encouraging the use of local currencies in international trade and financial transactions, a move that will reduce their reliance on the U.S. dollar. Do you agree with Schwarzer that the BRICS economic bloc adding oil giants as new members is a strategic success for Russia and China? Of course it is. I do agree with that. This is only just more proof of the fact that the West has clearly become corrupt and politically hated across the world. And while Western leaders continue just to put their heads in the sand and not give a damn about what's going on in their own countries, and continue cutting their own throats by enacting climate change policies and closing down industries, the BRICS countries are forging ahead. So, yeah, I do agree that this is big news. And as of 2024, I think we're going to see further declining, or further decline in Western power and Western influence, and maybe even in Western economies for that matter. So, probably we'll see more. We'll just see more and more. Probably, what's the word? We'll probably just see more and more inflation to compensate. Maybe wouldn't surprise me to just keep printing money at this point. Yeah. Look, I'm going to keep it short today. There's other articles I can cover here probably. Maybe see if there's other. There are other ones. Maybe I can do a quick one here. There was another one. I think this one, did we cover this last night? We might have. Yeah, what we'll cover, I won't do this today, but what we'll cover tomorrow is another article. There's actually quite a lot written about Brics in Bitcoin.com articles, which is really good. So they're covering this quite a lot, which is good because you're not really seeing a lot of this stuff as much, or at least I'm not seeing it. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe Reuters is writing a lot about it, but you're not seeing so much written about Brics in Reuters or other publications that I've come across. So I think there's probably a good reason for that because they don't really want to cover it. Really, is probably the reason. Here's another one from actually, you know, well, I will cover this one too. It's from 5 days ago. Brics invite 6 countries to join, including Saudi Arabia. Okay, so this is basically sort of piggybacks. This is sort of the precursor to the first article I've read. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I'll just kind of pick out some points here. The Brics leaders wrapped up the FAP. Okay, we have reached agreement on the guiding principles, standards, criteria, and procedures of the Brics expansion process, said South Africa's president. So they've come at least to that conclusion. Brics to become 11-nation bloc. So the Brics countries, which began as 5, will now be 6. That's quite big, quite major. On Thursday, the Brics nations wrapped up their, so we know that. They wrapped up their 15th annual summit in Johannesburg and released their Johannesburg 2 declaration. Russia will assume the 2024 Brics chairship and host the 16th Brics summits in the city of Kazan. And we know that. It's just basically saying that they've invited those 6 countries, which we mentioned earlier. South Africa, the chair of the Brics Summit this year, previously stated that 23 countries have formally applied for membership. We have also tasked our foreign ministers to develop the Brics partner country model and a list of prospective partner countries and report by the next summit. The declaration further details. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa posted on the X social media platform at the conclusion of the Brics Summit. Brics is a diverse group of nations. It is an equal partnership of countries that have differing views but a shared vision for a better world, he emphasized. Certainly can't be worse than the liberal Western world order's idea of a better world. He emphasized, as the 5 Brics members, we have reached an agreement on the guiding principles and standards and criteria, so on and so forth, as we've said before. Earlier, China's President Xi Jinping stated at the summit, we will forge stronger Brics strategic partnerships, expand the Brics Plus model, actively advance membership expansion, deepen solidarity and cooperation with other emerging markets and in developing countries, promote global multipolarity and greater democracy in international relations, and help make the international order just more just and equitable. Russian President Vladimir Putin said at the summit that the irreversible process of de-dollarization is gaining steam. And that's true. It is. And starting as of 2024 next year, I think we'll start to see the U.S. dollar devalue further. So, yeah. If Trump doesn't win the next election, I think the U.S. is really going to be in for a hell of a time up until 2028. So, yeah, Democrats really got to get voted out next year. All right, well, we'll leave it there. Like as usual, I'll shamelessly plug our website, which is www.alkindrosstrading.com. There you can become a member. Join, become a member, get access to our forum to meet sellers and buyers, ask questions, answer questions, network. You can find out more about us on the site and what we do, who we are, etc., etc., etc. You can also find us on most social media platforms, which include Facebook, Instagram, X, LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Telegram, TikTok, Gab, and VKontakte. All right, that's it. This is Konstantin Alkindros, owner and director of Alkindros International Trading, signing out on this day, August 30th, 2023.